Here we are with Friday sketch number 27, and we're going to get right in because this one is a little bit longer. For some reason, when I saw this sketch by Mojo Monday, I just felt like this card should be a little bit more on the shabby chic side. So I'm going to do my version of like a shabby chic card. So I got all of my stuff pre-cut. I did all of my circles and then just cut them in half, so that way I would have that half portion that's sticking out on the right. And what I'm doing here is I'm taking my Prima Distress tool and just going around the edges, and you'll see during the course of the video that sometimes I distress first and then use the distress ink on it. A couple of times I did it the other way where I inked first and then use the distress tool. You do what makes you happy. I like to normally distress first and then ink up, and then that way the edges that are messed up will have the distress on it already. Now the second sheet that I'm putting down, which is like basically the decorative paper, I didn't distress that one. I just inked the edges because it's a really thin paper and I didn't want to like obliterate it with that tool. So for the doily, I inked the edge as best I can, you know, with that one, and laid it down with the mono adhesive just in the center. And then the two half circles that I'm putting on top of that, I am distressing again and then inking up around the edges. And then we're going to lay it down. And initially I thought I would do like layers on this one, which you could. If you're hand delivering it to somebody, I would say layer it away. Do some foam tape, but make it sit up, make it really grand. If you don't want to pay a lot of postage, then do what I did, which is just, you know, use the tape and keep it pretty flat. As flat as you can. I did wind up using the foam tape on the focal image, but you'll see that in a few. So once I got everything done, I ran the distress tool again and inked the edge. And that's why I also sped up the video, because, you know, inking the edges, it can take a minute and I wouldn't want you guys to have to sit through all that. So same thing with the banner piece, that I had pre-cut. I'm just going around the edges on that with the tea dye distress ink. And then for the focal point, which I'm going to wind up distressing as well, I'm going to ink my image first so I can make sure that it's all set up correctly, and then I'll do the distressing part. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink this outline tree just like how we did a few cards ago. This one is just a different stamp collection, but I'm still doing the similar technique. So I'm just going to stamp down with the silver Delicata ink, so you can see the slight image there. It's very light, it just gives you a little something else. And then I'm grabbing my Stamp-A-Majig and I'm going to ink up the words. It's the words to Silent Night that we're going to stamp right over top of that tree. And I like how that looks. So once I get it lined up, I'm going to ink up my stamp. And it moved a little bit, so I will make sure that, you know, it's back in its right spot. Once it is, I'm just going to move the plastic piece away. And as long as I keep my tool in place, the green one, then everything should line up and land exactly the way I wanted it, which it did. And since we're using those pigment inks, you guessed it, we're going to cover them with the clear embossing powder. And on this one, for whatever reason, the card had a little bit of static and I didn't pre-treat it with the powder, so I did have to get a brush, I think, later on to like take some stuff off when I do my Merry Christmas. You know, you just have to be mindful of the fact that if you don't pre-treat it, you know, you just want to you just want to make sure that everything is okay. So now that's dry, I'm going to go around the edges. And on this one, I was actually thinking at this moment that I wasn't going to distress it. So that's why I think I started to just ink it all up. And then once it was done, I was like, no, I like the distress look here. I at least want everything that's on the inside, like in the center of the card, to be distressed if I'm not distressing the outside edge. So I just had to take a quick break for a second, and I'm just finishing up distressing our sides. And then once everything is distressed, I will go back around with the tool again to stain it. And I love the tea dye. For whatever reason, to me, it makes it look like it's worn. I like vintage photo, but vintage photo to me is almost like, you ever see those pages where it's like been burnt, or it can sometimes be a little bit of a darker brown, an intense, you know, brown. And the tea stain is more like it's been in the light, or it's just been, you know, stained with time. Does that make sense? So that's why I like the tea dye. Alright, so we're just going around the edges, doing the same thing. And if you, I think we still sell this tool in the boutique. I got it at Scrapbooking With Me Boutique, and it was probably a good 3 years ago maybe. But at first, when I first got it, I was so excited about it, and then I really didn't know how to use it. I know that sounds so crazy, but in the last year or so, I just started picking it up and trying to, you know, figure it out, how to get it to work best for me. And I am loving that little side tool for tearing up the edges. I really do enjoy that. Alright, so you can see I'm once again lining up my stuff, making sure everything's going to pan out. And then I took the stamp I had, I cut it in half. It was Merry Christmas. So I was lining it back up together, and I wanted to make sure that when I stamped it, it was going to be straight. So I got a scratch piece and stamped my Merry Christmas and made sure it was straight, and then I lined up my actual piece and stamped it again. And then I'm just going to cover it with the clear embossing powder again, and then heat that up. Now this one is the one I think I actually did grab the brush on camera, and I just went around the bottom edge. For some reason it was sticking a little bit more than normal. And then I always try, if you can't cover it up, just try and move it away, because you don't want to wind up heating your embossing powder like in the container. So you just want to try to get it away from the heating tool. So I'm going to go ahead and start laying everything down. For this part, I decided to use the ATG gun. And I'm trying to keep it as lined up on my mat as I possibly can, so that way it's nice and straight. But as you'll see, when I go to put down this particular strip, I wind up putting it too far over to the left. And I want to say it wound up going a little crooked on me too. And I'm trying to pull it up, and I'm laying it down, and when I go to put down my focal piece, I realize I was over too far. It should have been over more to the right, so that way everything would fit better. So I decided that I would share with you guys a wonderful tool that you can get in the boutique, and this is Undo. Undo has changed my life. So all you do is hit it with a little bit of the liquid, and it pulls right up. Now what I love about it is that as it dries, I haven't had any situations where it leaves like crazy stains or does anything like that. If you do, just have a plan, have a backup plan. So like for me, I was thinking I would just put in, it's white, I would just put a layer of white paper on the back side if it wound up staining it weird. So just that little bit of movement gave me a little bit more room over on the left side. And it also would make it so that I would have room for our sentiment. So right now I'm just laying down the foam tape on the back, which is going to help pop up our feature here. And then I'm going to grab the Merry Christmas, and I'm just going to just cut it real quick. Not trying to make it, you know, make sure it's all perfectly straight. Remember, this is a shabby sheet card. If it's not straight, it's okay. And then I'm taking one of these, it's like a snowflake twig bundle. I got it, it's a petaloo. I think I got that from the boutique as well. I just placed that on with the glue dot. And then I'm going to take another piece of phone tape, put it on the back of the Merry Christmas, and then put that on top. Now on the sketch, it had the flower sitting on top of the sentiment, but I kind of liked how this looked better, where it was like, I don't know, it was over it and then the bow was coming over on the top. I don't know. I liked it. And I was thinking about doing some splatter. And I was going to get my cubby out, and the cubby is really hard to film on camera, and I wasn't brave enough to just spray. So what I decided to do was, real quick, I distressed the edges with the ink, with the tea dye ink again. And then what I'm going to do is, after I've shaken it really well, I'm going to take the bloom spray and just kind of like flick it on it. I was trying to be neat and like tap the bottle edge, and some ink came out, some didn't. So I got to the point where I just wanted to start really splattering it on. And then if there were spots where I wanted it a little bit more intense, I just actually touched the card with the end of the nozzle, so that way those portions would be a little bit of a brighter blue. And then that is our card. I'm so excited about this one. I really, really do like it. So I'm just gonna move that out of the way and then place that right there, so you can see our sketch and our card. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for joining me, and I want you to make sure you hit the like and subscribe button, and please share. If you have any comments, just leave them down below. I read all the comments, and I always try to answer, and I'm so thankful, especially during this season, that you guys are with me on this journey, and I hope that you guys have a very Merry Christmas, and I will see you with the next video.